What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of High Mythology, the show where we get higher than skim chim, soaring over the misty isles of the Pacific Northwest, and tell you silly stories and great tales from mythology. Tonight, Kimba will be bringing us the story The House of Seven Colors, and sitting with us on music, we have Still Jeff as Don De La Nooch. Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to correct you there. It's called The Horse of Seven Colors.
Oh, the Horse of Seven Colors. Yeah, I American the fuck out of that. Seven color horse.
No, you said house.
The House of Seven Colors?
You did.
I? Oh,
you did.
shit.
It's okay. That
Well,
means
it's
the weed's
a horse.
working.
That means the weed is working.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The mason jar is cracked open, the pipes and bongs are full, and now is time for stories. So, yeah, go ahead and take it away there, Kimbo.
All right. This one comes from Venezuela. A brief history to the story. So it's a parody of Cinderella with the sexes reversed, and there's a few variations of the story. But the true Latin American folktale, no matter what, it's a horse with a coat of seven colors. Sometimes it's always changing, like a tie-dye fucking spectacle of like magic shit.
Rainbow horse.
But the first written version of it was actually published by a book called Sojo, and it was called The Princess and the Glass Mountain.
Yes.
So anyway, the horse of seven colors. Long ago, there lived a farmer and his three sons, Juan, Jose, and Tito.
Tito's my boy.
And they had a huge wheat field that was being devoured every night. The farmer decided that his son should be his watchman, and he called to his eldest son, Juan, and said, "Go out to the field and see what's eating up the wheat." And just before dark, Juan arrived at the wheat field, but instead of watching, he dozed off, and when morning came, whatever it was, had been at it again, and the wheat was torn up. His father gave him a scolding, and then sent his second son, Jose. Jose went to the field at nightfall, and he ate a supper, and with a full belly lay down and fell asleep. Again, in the morning, whatever creature it was had torn up the wheat. The bewildered farmer surveyed his losses and began to grieve, and then his youngest son, Tito, said, "Father, give me a chance."
Tito!
And his father shook his head and said, "You're too young."
PJ fucking Tito.
But Tito insisted, and he brought with him a guitar and a packet of straight pins, and then set out for the field. He laid out on a blanket and stuck it full of pins, except for a small circle where he could sit and rest in the middle. Then he plucked the strings on his guitar and started to sing.
Ay, 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 my name is Tito, and I'm hungry.
He plucked... Oh, yeah, okay, he started singing. By midnight, nothing had happened, and he dozed off. The moment he rolled over, the pins pricked him, forcing him to play another song.
Ay, 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 I am Tito, and I am so sleepy.
Throughout the nights, the pin and the guitar kept him awake, and just before daylight, something came crashing into the wheat field. He threw his rope and caught a party-colored horse that looked at him mournfully and said,
"Don't kill me. Let me go, and I'll be your helper."
Tito looked at him curiously and said, "I don't believe you." The horse replies,
"You should, because I'm the horse of seven colors. I'll help you whenever you need me. For the rest of your life."
Tito thinks for just a moment before saying, "Do you swear you'll never eat Papa's wheat again?"
"I swear it. Nay."
Nice. Tito untied the rope, and the grateful horse gave him a little wand and said,
"Use this wand to call for me. No matter where you are, I'll be there in a flash."
And then the horse disappeared. When Tito got home, poof. When Tito got home, he was praised by his father for saving the wheat. But he said nothing about the horse and kept the wand hidden inside his shirt. As soon as the harvest was ready, the farmer sent Juan to town with a burro and a double load of wheat to sell. Walking alongside the burro, Juan reached a ford in the river where he met an old woman who says to him,
"My son, if only you would be so good as to dip a little water into my jar. My jar is so dry at this age."
Juan scoffs and says,
"What? Dip it yourself. I'm in a hurry."
and the old lady was curious and says,
"Where to, my child? Don't you want my jar?"
and then Juan was getting angry at her and says,
Mind your own goddamn business, woman. Can't you see I am busy?
the old woman asks,
What do you have in those sacks, my child?
and Juan stuck his nose in the air and yelled,
It's a bunch of shit, lady. Tons of shit. Just bags of fucking shit.
and then he whipped the burro with the switch and kept going.
Ah!
The old woman cried off to him, saying,
Go, my son. May you sell your horse manure.
wow, guess she really needed that water. Juan got to town and made a deal for his 2 loads. The purchasers opened the grain sacks and found nothing but horse manure. And they gave him a thrashing.
Dude, did you just really carry 2 bags of shit to town? I swear, it was only a joke.
And instead of money, he had to go home with a story about an old woman and a water jar. His father just rolled his eyes and imagined that his son had been cheated. Okay, sorry. The next day, the farmer sent Jose with another 2 loads of grain to sell in town, and Jose set out with the burro. And when he reached the riverbank, the old woman said to him,
Alas, my son, if only you take pity and dip some water in my dry little jar.
And Jose scuffed and said,
Who the fuck do you think I am? Who the fuck do you think I am? I am fucking Jose, second goddamn brother, and I've got business elsewhere, bitch, so be on.
And the old woman curiously asked,
And where is elsewhere, my son?
Jose snaps at her.
Elsewhere is where they'll sweep me off my feet. Elsewhere is where they'll sweep me off my feet. I've had a long fucking day, and I am due for a pedicure. So unless you plan on getting down on some fucking feetsies, old lady, put your jar back in your panties and let me be on my way.
The old lady then asks,
And what do you have in that sack?
Jose sticks his nose in the air and says,
Rocks. I'm gonna throw them at you too if you don't let me get on. Fucking running late. They will bump my spot if I am 1 minute fucking late. Those ladies do not fuck around.
Sorry, the earlier one got me. I'm like, okay. Whew. The old woman smiles at him and says,
Go, my son. Good luck with the stone. And may you be swept off your feet.
In town, Jose got an immediate offer for his 2 loads, but when the dealers opened the sacks and they found only stones, they lifted Jose off his feet and strung him up. But Jose managed to wriggle loose and run away.
I'm fucking running late. I swear to God, I prepaid for it. They will not refund my payment.
This time, the father was in no mood to hear stories and gave both sons a scolding that they wouldn't forget. On the 3rd day, Tito offered to go into town with the last 2 loads, and his father shook his head and said, You're too young to manage. But Tito wouldn't take no for an answer and set off with the burro and wheat.
And some guitars, right? He had his guitar still.
I don't know. Didn't say.
I feel like Tito does everything musically.
He's got his wand in
he
his
seems
shirt.
like that kind of guy.
Just wait. I mean, it gets kind of dark. Okay, so anyway. At the riverbank.
Spoilers.
This is a parody of Cinderella.
Oh, yeah, I guess it is.
That.
I guess it is.
At the riverbank, the little old woman appeared and said,
Where are you off to, son?
No, that's too far.
Oh, never mind. I went too far. Son, would you be so kind as to fetch me some water? My jar is all dry and dusty.
Tito shrugged and said, Why not, old woman? And he took her water jar and filled the water from the river and handed it to her. The old woman took it and drank it until her thirst was quenched and then asked,
Where are you off to, son?
Tito smiles at her and says, I'm off to town, old woman. And then she asks,
Oh, son, what do you have in those sacks?
Tito walks back over to his burro's side and says, My father's wheat. I'm going to sell it. And the old woman smiles and says,
Go, my son. You may sell your wheat.
When Tito got to town, the dealers who were tired of tricks refused to listen, but when Tito opened the sacks and showed them the wheat of the highest quality, they paid well, and of course, he took the money straight home to his father. In disgust, the two elder brothers decided to leave home. Seeing them saddle their horses, Tito pleaded with them to stay. Brothers, let me go with you. Jose shook his head, and Juan said,
Don't be so stupid. Somebody has to stay with the old man, and it's not going to be us. Everything we try to do turns out shit. So we're clearing out. Goodbye. Adios.
They got on their horses and dug their spurs in and sped off.
Ha!
When they were out of sight, Tito packed a lunch and took off after them, on foot. All day and all night he walked without stopping until at last, in the distance, he could make out two riders. They turned their heads and saw Tito coming and asked themselves, what could Tito possibly want? Jose says,
Hey, let's go check out what he's fucking carrying.
And Tito was caked in dust and sweat, breathing hard, Tito says, Brothers, let me ride on the rump of one of your horses. One was annoyed and said,
No, you belong back at home with Papa. Go back.
Tito pleads and just let me ride on the rump. Jose asked Tito.
What's in the fucking bag?
Tito got excited and said, no, he asked, can we see
what's in the fucking bag, kid?
Okay, well, I guess Tito just gets excited and shows him.
Yeah, Jose's a dick.
He opens his lunch bag and showed them the food that he had packed. Jose started to drool a bit and asked,
Give me that cocktail fruit, bitch.
Tito thought that if he gave them his only bit of food, that they would allow him to travel with them. So Tito excitedly says, You can, and handed the food to them and pleaded again to let him ride on the rump. Juan was super annoyed with Tito at this point and says,
Sure, climb up. If only. If you... Damn, buddy. That's your little brother. Shit, sorry, folks. That caught me back. Sure, climb up. But first, let us pluck out your eyes.
Tito agreed. And do you know what those piece of shit brothers did? They fucking plucked his eyes out.
Oh, God. It's so much more painful than you guys made it sound.
They rode off, leaving poor Tito blind and stumbling in the middle of the road.
Yeah. Find your way home, bitch boy. Fucking Jose, Jesus, he's your brother.
Yeah, it was crazy, like mutilation, dude. Tito stretched out his arms in front of himself and made his way to a tree trunk. He sat on the trunk and settled himself as to reflect on his brother's cruelty and his miserable fate. Night came, and 3 witches flew on top of the tree next to Tito's stump. The witches were laughing. Did you hear what happened?
No, my dear, what happened?
Well, I never thought we'd get this far. The whole world is coming to an end.
Oh, don't stop there. Don't stop there. Keep talking.
Well, it's gotten to where brothers are turning against brothers. Just today, 2 of them plucked out the eyes of one of their own and left him blind. Imagine that, their own flesh and blood.
Ah, yes, my dear, but what did you know the cure for that? Oh, ha ha. Ah, yes, my dear, but did you know the cure for that? It's right at our fingertips. Clitoris.
And what's the cure, sister?
I whispered clitoris. I thought you guys... We're gonna
I did not catch that at all. I was not even focused. I'm so sorry.
I have another idea, though. If that doesn't work, sister, all you'd have to do is pick 3 leaves from this very tree we're in. Pass them in front of your eyes, and you'd see again.
You're not serious.
But I am.
And with that, the 3 rose out of the tree and flew off. By now it was nearly dawn, and Tito had heard the entire conversation. He broke off 3 leaves and passed them over his face. In an instant, his eyes lit up, and he could see again. He continued down the road, walking day and night, and he came to a town after a couple days, and learned that his brothers had taken up residence there. It's a couple days on the road with no food, no water, that his brothers fucking jacked from him.
His brothers just left him, yeah.
Yeah, for fuck's sake.
I bet Jose farted on him, too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Farted in the eye sockets. Jesus.
Yeah. We thought Juan was a monster when he pulled out the eyes, but then Jose farted in the eye holes, so... Perfect sound effects.
Yeah. He found their house, and when they saw him at their doorstep, Juan shouts,
"It is our boy! How on earth did you get back your eyesight?"
Tito shrugs and says, "It just happened," and would say no more. The 2 brothers wondered what to do with him, and they decided to make him their cleaning bitch. Cook, clean, and take care of the horses. One day, Jose came home with some exciting news. Poo-poo-poo. Fox News. The king of that town had issued a
Summons.
calling all the knights from the near and far to ride past the palace gate. Whoever can toss an apple into the princess's balcony and hit her on the boob will be given her hand in marriage.
Apple tits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually, that's how I plan on auctioning off our daughter, too. I hope you're ready for that if we have a daughter.
No, that is not how that's going on.
It's an honorable way.
No.
The question is, too, is she allowed to deflect, or does she just have to, stand on the balcony, tits out, and
She
wait?
just has to stand there with her tits out.
Because I like to think it gives her an option. It's almost like a game. You got to be more skillful at titty apple toss than my daughter is.
Let's also mention that she's in a Rapunzel tower.
Yeah.
So you have to throw that apple.
Yeah, you got to chuck that apple pretty high.
25 fucking feet.
Yeah.
25 stories.
Rapunzel, let down your head. Oh my God, she just hung her titties over the balcony. I bet I can hit one with an apple.
Yeah. Anyway. Let's
Anyway.
go back this. So anyone that hits her in the tit will be given her hand in marriage. Juan and Jose vowed to
her tit.
vowed to compete.
Take my wife, as well as her bruised titty.
And Tito, now a man, I guess years go by, and they decide that he would secretly join them.
Tito's a man now. He's all grown up.
Kind of have a stronger voice now.
Yeah.
When the day of the competition arrived, Juan and Jose had already taken off, and Tito took out his wand and said, "O little wand, by the power within you, hear my call, bring me the horse of 7 colors." And suddenly the rainbow horse appeared and asked,
"What do you need of me?" Ooh.
Tito says, "I am on my way to compete for the princess. I need new clothes and a horse to compete with." And the horse winked, and suddenly Tito was dressed like a prince. The 7-colored horse told him that Tito would will use him as his horse. And so Tito mounted the horse and they appeared at the tournament. After all the contestants had failed, and at full gallop, he hurled his apple up to the balcony, high as it was, and into the princess's window. Then, as quickly as Tito and the horse appeared, they disappeared. People were gasping, such marksmanship. When Juan and Jose got home, they found Tito hard at work on the hearth, all covered in soot. They paid no attention to him and chatted away. Jose.
Yo, Juan, you see that knight? He had a fucking arm, right?
Juan replies,
Yes, but he might not have hit the princess directly in the tit. Maybe in the stomach or the higher chest.
Jose stroked his chin and said,
You know something funny? That guy looked like our little brother.
The next day, Juan and Jose went back to the tournament, hoping for better luck. They took aim and let it fly. But just like all the others, they were not able to get the apple even halfway up to the royal window. Then suddenly, the knight on the seven-colored horse appeared, and in an even more dazzling attire. His apple sailed high into the sky and into the princess's window and grazed her cheek. There was a roar from the crowd. Some argued, saying that the apple had indeed struck her in the tit, and others weren't sure. Meanwhile...
No, I'm an ass man. I aimed for that.
Fuck. Meanwhile, the dashing knight slipped away without a trace. That evening, when Juan and Jose returned home, Tito was quietly washing dishes in the kitchen, and Jose says to Juan,
Hey, yo, Juan, I saw that motherfucker up close today. He does look like our little shit brother, Tito. Little bitch boy.
Juan agrees and says,
Maybe you're onto something. He seems to be able to pull off anything he wants. Remember the wheat field? And the loads of grain? And the eyes? And that time he fucked your girlfriend and did not tell you about it, Jose.
They fell silent for a moment and then burst out laughing. Juan says,
What is the matter with us? He's just a simple country boy. Where could he get fancy shirts or horse with that horse wings and those changing colors and those magnificent flowing rainbows? I want to fuck that horse, Jose.
Jose laughs and says,
You're right, motherfucker. We totally lost our heads, and I would totally put mine in that horse as well.
Juan agrees. And says,
Yeah. But whatever he is, he's going to be the winner with a horse that's magnificent and luxurious.
Jose agrees with Juan and says, a lot of dirty agreeing.
Oh, yes.
They both want to get that horse.
Fucking horse, man. Oh, seems that way. But you know what? You know, motherfucker, we'll get out there tomorrow. You know, it's the last day of the tournament, and we're not about to quit on this shit, and I'm going to try to see if I can't get some digits off of that horse.
The next day, Juan and Jose went back to the final day of the tournament, but none could even hit the bottom fourth floor window. Suddenly, the knight on the little multicolored horse appeared, and he was dressed with a shit ton of jewels, like 100 million, that he sparkled like a prince from a distant land.
Sparkles.
He paused for a moment so that his brothers could get an eyeful.
Yeah,
Then he threw his apple, and it went soaring into the air and hit the princess square in the tit.
Ow, that was my nipple!
Ouch, I say. The crowd went wild, shouting, "A wedding! A wedding!" And the king called Tito to his side and presented the princess. Typical. But she fell in love with him on the spot. Probably because he knows how to clean. My best guess.
He's a very clean man.
That's what I like in a man.
God damn it, though. This titty bruise is
to
really sore. This titty bruise, though.
I'm going to have to clean it.
I
Anyway,
need to ice my tit.
the marriage was celebrated without delay, and it was a grand banquet. Then Tito summoned his two brothers before them and said, "So you see, you were right, and today I could have punished you for everything you've done to me. But instead, you are both pardoned. And all I ask is that you go home and get father. Bring him here so he can live here in the palace with the princess and myself. The brothers were speechless and then wept. Super emotional for them too, I guess. I don't know, I kind of feel like I come from Tito's side more.
I will forgive you, brothers.
Anyway.
But Jose, you really need to get anger management, buddy. You are not doing well.
But anyway, the two older brothers hurried off to collect their father, and then the horse of the 7 colors appeared before Tito and said,
I've been with you until this day. Now you are content, and I have paid my debt.
and with that, the little horse vanished, leaving the happy prince standing next to his bride.
Remember, a horse is a horse, of course, of course. A horse is a horse, of course. Unless, of course, that course of horse is a multicolor horse.
The end.
The end. I'm off to be Mr. Ed.
So, this story was actually translated by a Carmen Dolores Mastri. And again, this is one from Venezuela.
Venezuela.
So knowing that, you think the king was like going mad when he decided to marry off his daughter like that?
You must toss an apple at my daughter's tit, and you can have her.
Maybe he just wanted to see
Sir,
someone hit her in the tit with an apple.
Crazy. I think it was a game, and that's the part we missed out on. That apple tit ball was actually a played sport back in Venezuela in those days.
Maybe
this
he
is
had,
the
like-
only left story where it's actually mentioned. Like I said, she's swatting him away. It's a big deal because she's like
That's
apple
true.
tit ball champion. You know what I mean?
And maybe he had like 7 sons and like 8 daughters, and he just wanted to get rid of
He
them.
just had to get rid of it.
I gotta get rid of one of
I don't
these.
know. If you can catch a trout,
I mean, I'm in the right country,
you can have
right?
that daughter. What else do we have? What else do we have? I need to get rid of some more daughters. What if I put her in a tower and have people throw apples at her tits?
Yeah, that sounds like
Make
it would work.
make a festival out of it. We can sell hot dogs and bratwursts, tacos, enchiladas. Interesting how I went from German to Mexican cuisine right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think we're going to take a quick little break, and then we will be back with another short story. So stay excited. Stick around.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Totally is.
Yeah.
This one is right up your alley. You're going to have fun with this one, Dustin.
Ay, ay, ay.
Only 4 lines for you, because I don't want to hear you talking this whole time like the last one.
Well, I mean, yeah, I had a bit of lines there.
You did.
I had a lot of conversations.
I was wondering
myself.
if you're going to be able to keep up with it. I tried like so
Yeah.
hard making it simple for you. All right. All right, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Wrong one.
Nice.
Welcome back, everybody. We are back. We are bringing you a little bit more south of the border stories here. Coming at you with the story of Rosalie from the Yucatan, right, Kim?
Yep, the Yucatec Maya.
Yucatan Maya.
Yucatec.
Yucatec Maya.
It's in Mexico.
Okay.
Okay, so I find this an interesting story because there's a shit ton of fucking different versions of this from all over the world. There's Italian, there's Middle Eastern versions, there's an Indian version, there's a Europe version, up and down all of South America. So yeah, okay, here we go. So long ago, there was a young man named Gustavo who had left home in search of work for some money.
I need to
Because
make
he was
some
broke
money.
as shit
He had
and
to
couldn't
stack
get the
that
job
paper.
at the McDonald's because he failed the drug test.
Gustavo.
He came upon a hut.
Amigo.
He came upon a hut that belonged to an old giant and his old wife, and their daughter Rosalie. Gustavo and Rosalie fell in love, and after spending some time together, Gustavo made up his mind to stay. The old giant and his wife thought that their daughter was just having a fling, and it would pass. But when Gustavo asked him for Rosalie's hand, he sarcastically agreed under a condition.
Oh, you want a handy from my daughter? You want to be my son-in-law? Oh, you fool! You got to complete 4 fucking tasks. Yeah, check that, bro. Not even 3 tasks. Good luck, kid.
Gustavo agreed, and the giant thought of a task Gustavo could not possibly complete. He said,
Your first task: go down to the lake. Bring it up here to the hut. I want lakeside property, bitch. I want to step out in the morning. I want to put my feet in the water. I want to take a bath. And I don't want to travel. So, yeah, get it done. Yeah, and all you're going to get is this fucking solo cup. So, good luck with that. Yeah. This is also my spit cup, so.
Probably has a crack at the bottom of the cup.
Yeah. This is from the last time we threw a kegger.
Gustavo was dumbfounded, and he took the plastic cup and went to tell Rosalie, who told Gustavo not to worry.
Do not worry.
When everyone was asleep, Rosalie and Gustavo went down to the lake, and Rosalie scooped up the lake with her skirt and dropped it at the door of the hut.
Damn, girl.
They're giants, dude. So just,
yeah.
it's, you gotta remember.
Oh my
giants.
God, what is Gustavo? Oh, the visual. There we are. We're back to the 1-inch man again, but now the man's normal size and the vagina's huge, so he's got to just punch that clitoris.
It's a boxing challenge.
Yeah. He saw her from like a quarter of a mile away, and he's like, she's beautiful. He didn't understand depth yet.
Yeah. So now your mind is up again. So she scooped up the skirt.
I wish to sleep inside of her.
She scooped up the lake with her skirt and dropped it at the door of the hut. When the giant awoke,
Sploosh.
His mind was blown when he heard the water lapping at his bedposts. The next day, the giant took his cauldron and threw it into the deepest part of the river and told Gustavo that his second task is to retrieve the cauldron.
Get that, bitch.
Gustavo dove many times, but couldn't reach the deepest part of the river. He gave up and told Rosalie, who said that they would go to the river when everyone fell asleep. When Rosalie and Gustavo got to the riverbank that night, she told Gustavo that in order for her to rise back out of the water, he would need to call for her name. And so Rosalie dove in and collected the cauldron.
Gustavo.
And Gustavo called her name.
Rosalie.
The giant awoke the next morning to find his cauldron back in its place, and the giant thought of something clever for the third task. He told Gustavo to go out to the hillside, clear the forest, and burn it, then plant a cornfield of 100 patches, and by midnight that night, bring him a giant cart full of young earcorns.
Okay. You know what I want, bitch? I want corn. I want a lot of corn, and I want it fresh grown, and I want it fresh grown on that hill. Good luck.
Gustavo scratched his head, but at daybreak he had set out, and by sunset had accomplished practically nothing.
Yeah, I got a good start. And then I took a nap. Yeah, that took up most of the morning.
Rosalie heard what Gustavo's task was and set out to help him. He extended her arm and slapped away the air, and the force of air uprooted all the trees and shrubs. Then she used her magic to dry and burn everything.
Kapoosh!
She planted the corn seeds and raised the plants.
Splash!
Rosalie and Gustavo picked a buttload of young earcorns and tossed them into the cart. Rosalie snuck back into her house, and Gustavo delivered
I like how
the
they
cart.
give Gustavo any credit, too. They both picked some corn. Like, yeah, he got like a bag. She did the rest of the field.
Pretty much.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, at least
This girl
the thought
has some-
counts that he tried, right?
This girl has some ingenuity.
Be helpful.
She has some ingenuity and some go-get-it action. You know what I mean?
She's fully willing to marry a man that can easily crawl into her vagina.
And sleep. That's where he's gonna sleep. Where's Gustavo? He's in the womb room.
As long as he jumps up and down, it's like a fucking handheld vibrator, right?
He's just in there throwing boxing moves.
Exactly.
I crawl inside and I kick my feet around, and then I just lay back and punch the clitoris. She loves it.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Where am I? Okay. Rosalie snuck back into her house, and Gustavo delivered the cart of corn to the giant just before midnight. The giant was furious and told his wife, the giant was furious, and his wife asked him what was troubling him. Sorry. I had a moment.
I'm so fucking pissed off, that piece of shit.
His wife told him,
It's simple. We'll have that midget thrown from a horse.
He doesn't even take off his shoes before he gets inside her. It's fucking disgraceful. That's our daughter, Sharon.
And the two old giants came up with a plan that would involve them and Rosalie to use their transformation magic. The wife said that she would transform into a mare, her husband the saddle, and Rosalie the bridle. The bridle. Bridle?
Oh, yeah.
Bridle? Is it bridle? Bridle. Okay.
Bridle. Yeah.
So, Rosalie was eavesdropping like a motherfucker and heard their plan. She ran to Gustavo and told him
Gustavo, Rosalie.
Whatever happens tomorrow, be kind to the bridle, but beat the shit out of the saddle and the horse. Gustavo was confused, but he agreed to his love's request.
he just starts eating right then. He's like, "Don't worry, my love. I shall eat beans and cabbage all night. The saddle does not stand a chance."
It tastes like oysters down here.
He gets out there, and first thing he does is just start making out with the bridle.
Salted caramel.
You like that saddle, huh? You like that?
Okay, the next day, the giant told Gustavo that for his final task that he must go north to the dry lands, probably Texas, where he would find a fully saddled mare and bring her to him. Gustavo agreed and set out.
Oh, you want... So here's what you got to do. You got to make it through the border, through customs. You got to get that mare, and you got to bring her back.
They're going to check her for drugs.
They're going to check her for drugs. I'm going to warn you now. She is full of drugs.
Super pumped full.
She is pumped full of drugs.
Watch out for that cocaine.
This is the olden days, so we're smuggling the drugs backwards.
Nice. Meanwhile, the giant family took a shortcut, and by the time Gustavo showed up, they had transformed into a fully saddled horse.
Nay!
Gustavo had brought along with him a blunt club.
A blunt and a club.
And when he saw the horse,
blunt.
He jumped onto her back and started beating the horse and the saddle.
And sucking on the bridle.
Before the horse...
Put the whole thing in his mouth.
Before the horse had a chance to buck him off. After a while, the horse became too exhausted to throw the rider and fell to the ground. He got off the horse and was like, "What the fuck do I do now?"
Farted in his mouth.
He was going to pull the horse home, but his love said to be gentle.
Be gentle with the bridle.
So he shrugs and goes home alone.
Well,
when he returned to the hut, no one was home. When he returned to his hut, no one was home, and so he started doing some chores. And after a couple hours, the two old giants returned bruised and worn the fuck out.
Yeah. Look, babe, I did the dishes. You did 2 dishes, but it's so cute. You're just so tiny. Climb up inside me again.
Gustavo asked again for Rosalie's hand, but the giant went back on his word and told Gustavo that there was more still to be done.
Did I say 4? I meant 5 tasks.
Way more. He wanted 9.
Oh, yeah, 9. Cinco.
Rosalie tells Gustavo that they must run away that night while her parents were still sore and exhausted from the beating earlier. So as soon as her parents were snoring, Rosalie
your
and
mom's
Gustavo
got pink
left.
Eye.
Rosalie took with her a needle, a grain of white earth, and a grain of salt. And before they left, Rosalie spit on her bedroom floor and shut the door.
Fuck you.
In the morning, the giant called to Rosalie to wake.
Wake up,
And start her
Rosalie.
Okay, Papa, I'm getting up. I'm going to comb my hair.
And Rosalie's magical spit says, speaking with the same voice, so that the giant did not suspect a thing. So the spit was magical. I know.
Magic talking loogie.
I would think I was tripping so hard.
Yeah. Holy shit.
I
Did that
wouldn't
loogie
say.
just talk to me?
No. But no, I guess that's like a magic thing. Like even the Hungarians have like a story about that.
Magic loogies.
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Anyway,
You don't practice flim magic? Some say it's almost as powerful as sex magic.
Nice. An hour later,
Wow.
the giant called to his daughter, asking if she was ready. And the magic spit replied,
I'm combing my hair.
by this time, the spit was practically dry that it could hardly answer, or it only answered in a whisper. Oops.
I'm magic.
She was supposed to say,
I'm combing my hair.
yeah, thank you. And the giant became suspicious.
I haven't seen Gustavo. Is he in there with you?
And opened Rosalie's door and discovered her trick.
Ew, what the fuck did I just step in? Is that a fucking... Oh, it's a magic sentient loogie. I hate that. It hurts.
Wow. Okay.
Oh, man,
Wow.
that thing was flimmy, too. You're going to have to hose that off.
Fucking nasty. It took like 7 hours to dry.
Yeah, that thing stayed moist forever. Is that a slug?
Wow. So the giant became furious and set out to pursue the young couple. This almost reminds me of Finian's story.
Yeah.
So the giant was one fast motherfucker, and he quickly gained on them. And when he had nearly overtaken
Gold
them,
medal track and field, bitches.
nice. The couple made it around a giant cliff and out of sight. And Rosalie transformed herself into an orange tree, and she disguised Gustavo as an old man. The giant stopped by the orange tree and asked the old man if the young couple had come through, and the old man replied,
No, but stay a moment and rest here. Have some oranges, traveler.
and the giant took one and ate it. He immediately lost his desire to continue chasing down his daughter, so he returns home and tells his wife what had happened.
I had the worst
The
fucking
old
orange
woman-
I've ever had. It was still lingering.
The old giant woman was pissed. You fool! That orange tree was Rosalie.
You have been farted on again, husband. Yeah. That's why it tasted like shit.
Papa Giant felt pretty stupid and quickly left, again in pursuit. Okay, at this point, I have to point this out. In all the different versions from around the world, there is no mention of how Rosalie and Gustavo suddenly have a horse. Okay, I mean, like, how big is this horse if Rosalie is a giant?
And she's riding the horse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is this like a mammoth size?
It's
right?
a mammoth. Or she's small by giant magic. Or she's just walking and he's riding a horse.
No.
And it's like he
it
always
clearly
lumps them
mentions
together.
that
It's
they're
like
both
we're doing
together
it
on the
together,
horse.
right, babe? And she's like, yeah, just let me know if I need to pick
And
up
he's
the horse.
riding in front of her, so I'm assuming she's cuddling him.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
She's just walking behind the horse, hunched over. Oh, hi.
Okay,
Just two little hands wrapped around two little fingers. Oh, I love you, honey. Don't worry, I won't fall off.
So anyway, the giant was hot on their trail, and Rosalie transformed their horse into a church.
Church horse.
See what I mean? Like, it has to be mammoth sized in order to turn into a church,
Yeah.
right?
She's got the magic stuff. She's got that giant magic.
Yeah.
Spit on you, church.
She then transformed Gustavo into a priest and herself into the statue of the Virgin Mary.
Oh, shit.
Gustavo, as a priest, stood outside the door of the church, and when the giant saw him, he ran up to the priest and asked him if he had seen a young couple come by. The priest says to the giant,
Shh. You can't talk here. Oh, we're also about to sing mass. Please come inside. Have a seat. Gaze upon the beautiful bosom of our statue of the beloved Virgin. Why the fuck is she so big, and why does she have 2 middle fingers extended towards me? And why does everyone in here look like horse pieces?
The giant entered the church, but when he saw the statue of the Virgin Mary, he had lost his desire to pursue the young couple. He returned home and told his wife that he had seen the Virgin and decided to go home.
She was fucking straight up flipping me off.
The old lady
raised
giant
middle fingers.
Was so pissed. Holy shit, she was so pissed. She said to her husband,
You fool! You idiot! The virgin statue was Rosalie. You're so fucking stupid. Why did I even marry you? I'll catch them myself. Clearly, you are incapable.
Yeah. See that, and that's why
Well said,
I think
huh?
that might be the trick.
That pretty
too.
much summed it up, yeah.
Yeah, that's why Gustavo is so attractive to the daughter too, because the mom's over there like, Gustavo could find your clitoris, but your father hasn't found mine yet.
And with that, the old lady took off at full speed. She was crazy motherfucking fast, and in a matter of hours, she had caught up to the young couple. Rosalie cried out to Gustavo,
We can't fool her. We'll have to use the needle.
death by heroin overdose.
Yeah.
A real Romeo and Juliet type situation.
Yeah.
The end.
We'll have to dose her. That's it? That's it? Okay.
I'm just fucking with you guys. This is a Catholic story. Suicide is a crime.
Yes, it is.
All right, so Rosalie bends down from the horse riding at full speed. Gustavo holding on to her leg to make sure she doesn't fall all the way down. I guess he's strong enough to hold. I don't know.
I think she's smaller all of a sudden.
And she plants the needle into the ground, and immediately a thick, dense forest pops up, Totoro style. Remember that scene? That was fucking awesome. That's what I imagined anyway.
Plant a tree,
So-
motherfucker!
And that was actually, that's actually a pretty fucking cool.
Happy Earth Day, bitches!
What an awesome power to have. Anyway, Rosalie slows her mother down, but just a bit, and the old lady cut through the thicket with her machete. Oh,
Machete.
shit. And began gaining on the young couple. When
See,
her
all
mother,
of a sudden I'm starting to imagine more and more that Gustavo is actually just like a young Danny Trejo.
he might be. I should have named him that
Yeah.
instead. But this one's for Jeff's friend.
Go Gustavo.
The whole time the story has me saying, this young man. I'm like, that's a fuck. Give him a fucking name. Yeah, this story, he doesn't have a name, by the way. It's just a young man and Rosalie.
Well, the young man and Rosalie, but I like Gustavo better.
Me too. I thought it was great.
Gustavo.
Also,
And it makes it more sense,
Yeah.
That way you can have Gustavo.
It's awesome.
Gustavo.
When her mother was at arm's reach, Rosalie threw down the grain of white earth, and an enormous mountain range rose up.
Chick-pow! Check that out. Andes, bitches!
Rosalie and Gustavo continued to flee, and the old lady started running up, kind of crawling up the steep slope.
Oh, shit.
She's
gonna make it, isn't she?
I mean, she was... Okay, then she slid down the other side,
Whee!
and she cleared... and she cleared the mountain and rapidly gaining on the young couple. Half out of breath.
Fuck
just like
your
me.
track and field.
Just like me, half out of breath.
Half out of breath.
Smoking too much weed.
Smoking all this weed stuff
It's delicious.
with Jeff on the guitar.
The old woman almost caught Rosalie, but Rosalie threw down the grain of salt, and immediately the sea rose up. As far as the eye could see.
Pacific, bitches!
Rosalie turned their horse into a crocodile.
Crocodile horse.
She transformed Gustave into a shark and herself into a sardine. And,
I have issues with being big. Now that you guys are bigger than me, it feels right.
the old lady tried to catch the sardine, but the shark kept driving her away. Finally, the old woman had had enough and said,
Fine, you bitches! But I'll curse you to remain in this form for 7 years.
and then she peed in the water and left.
Eat that, fuckers. Yeah.
7 years go by, and they were freed at last. Unfortunately for the villagers had caught and ate the crocodile that was a horse.
Oh.
But the shark
Why does
and the
this crocodile
sardine...
taste like horse meat?
I don't know.
Is that weird? Does anybody else notice that?
Honestly, it doesn't mention anything about the horse at all. It just says Rosalie and fucking
I pulled it up.
Gustavo.
I pulled it out of the water.
Crawl
thinking
out of the
it
water.
was going to eat somebody. And it started just grazing on grass.
I don't think the
Strangest
horse
thing I've ever
knew.
seen a crocodile do.
Don't think the horse knew.
That's what I'm saying. It's a horse, so it doesn't know about magic. So I'm sure the horse was like, "I'm still a horse. Why am I in the water?"
When they crawled out on land, they transformed back to their original forms. They made their way to Gustavo's grandparents' house in a town nearby. Rosalie could not enter the town because she had not been baptized yet.
Oh.
So she sent Gustavo on ahead to get some holy water and return to her just outside of town so that she could bathe in it and enter the town. She warned him not to embrace his grandparents under any circumstances, or he will instantly forget his Rosalie.
Do not hug your grandparents, otherwise.
Don't touch him.
Don't touch them. Don't hug them.
Nada.
Now, you know, that kind of goes for our situation now, too, folks. Don't touch your grandparents.
Right now, yeah. Hey, this is perfect for you. Gustavo agreed, and when he got to his grandparents, he would not permit them to even touch him. He felt tired and decided to rest for a moment before returning to Rosalie with the holy water.
Jesus, Gustavo, it's one job.
What a
It's town.
dick, right?
It's like you literally walked into town and could have got that holy water and been back in 10 minutes, and instead you're like, I'm gonna pop by grandma and grandma's place,
Take a nap.
eat some food, take a little nap.
You don't think she's fucking tired too?
I
She
know.
wants to
She
spend
just
all
gotta
day
sit out
outside
there
of
and try to hide in a bush with her giant ass.
This is like Mexico, man. You gotta fucking watch out for coyotes and shit.
Coyotes.
Fuck
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I don't think she has to worry about coyotes.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's true. Well, anyway, he was soon fast asleep, and his grandmother went in to check on him. She bent over the sleeping Gustavo and gently kissed him on his forehead. When Gustavo awoke, he no longer had any recollection of Rosalie. Wow. For days, Rosalie waited for him to come back. That's some dedication.
That's some dedication right there.
One morning, she saw a little boy playing by the edge of town and asked him if he wouldn't mind bringing her some holy water. The boy agreed to help her out and soon returned with a bucket of holy water. She bathed in it and was able to enter the town where she had learned that Gustavo was about to be married to another.
Gustav.
That his grandparents had arranged.
Oh, shit.
They were very pushy people.
Very pushy grandparents.
She went straight
Why
over
don't
to
you
Gustavo's
marry a
house.
normal-sized girl?
She went straight over to Gustavo's house. I'm thinking like Friday.
I don't like you body-shaming my girlfriend, Grandpa. I'm not body-shaming. I'm just saying she's big. Oh, not body-shaming.
Sure. So she went over to Gustavo's, but he did not recognize her, and Rosalie wouldn't accept defeat and managed to postpone the wedding by 3 days. In that time...
She took a shit on the fucking the location. They're like, it's a big one. It's going to take us at least 3 days to scoop all of this up.
We don't know who left this.
We need a team of people with wheelbarrows. There's,
It
for
was
some
left in
reason,
the
a
middle of the
giant
night.
turd in the middle of your fucking wedding aisle.
Rosalie prepared a huge feast and invited everyone in town except Gustavo's betrothed.
Yeah. Everyone may come except for you, bitch. I see instant animosity, you know. We don't even know if his girlfriend is bad either. She might just be nice. She's caught up on her whole end of this story too, you know.
Just wait, this is my favorite part. Like, it really, it just cracked me up a lot.
I wanted to marry my farmhand, but they made me marry Gustavo.
In the center of the large banquet table, she had placed 2 dolls in the center. They looked exactly like her and Gustavo. And yes, if you're thinking it, this is indeed Latino voodoo.
Latino voodoo. Oh.
When the guest had arrived and everyone was seated, Rosalie took off one of her flip-flops and began hitting the doll that looked like Gustavo. Rosalie looked down at the doll and yelled at it.
Don't you remember carrying the lake up the hill in that plastic cup.
Bang! She'd hit the doll with her flip-flop. And as it struck the doll, Gustavo himself cried out in pain.
Ay, ay, ay.
She continued to yell at the doll.
Don't you remember the cauldron at the bottom of the river?
I do everything
I had to fetch for you.
Bang! She'd hit the doll again, and Gustavo cried out. She continued to yell
Don't
at the
you
dog
remember
like some mad
sleeping
woman.
inside of me?
Don't you remember banging my clit? I suddenly got the visual for it. Oh, Jesus, that looks dangerous. I mean, it looks dangerous in my mind. I'm sorry.
Don't you remember the cornfields that you had plant and then grow in a single day? Bang! Or the 7 years we spent together in the sea? Bang!
Gustavo shrieked in pain until he finally remembered her.
Oh, shit. Oh, what's her face? Yeah, knock. It's all cool.
That's like the true Mexican way, too. Like, I used to hear stories in Texas all the time. My mom took off her flip-flop and started beating the shit out of me with it. I'm like, oh, my God. Are you serious? And they're like, yeah, that's the Mexican way.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how you learn.
With tears of joy, he threw himself into Rosalie's arms, and they lived happily ever after. The end.
See what I mean? That poor other girl.
I mean, I also can't believe she used, like, the Neanderthal way. When he lost his memory, like, beat it until it fixed itself. Doesn't always work, you know what I mean? The TV does not always work once you beat the shit out of it.
The remote does.
The remote does indeed.
Yeah. Oh. Hey, ay, 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 ay,
I always
ay,
forget
ay,
to
ay,
break.
ay. Yeah, everybody. Tonight's stories, our resources for tonight's stories were Latin American folk tales, a book, stories from the Hispanic and Indian traditions, revised by John Beerhorst. Yeah, this book is from the Pantheon Fairy Tales and Folklore Library. If you guys like all of these folklore stuffs, check out some of their stuff. They got a lot of good books, a lot of good stories in there.
I really enjoy fairy tales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that good shit. Follow us, check us out.
Yes.
We got more stuff coming. Comment, let us know. Let us know what you think.
Definitely.
We'd love comments. Yeah, we have Jeff, still Jeff, a.k.a. Don Jefe de la Nooch on the guitar over there.
Nice.
Yeah. If you like him and his guitar playing, check out our YouTube. Howley Boys on YouTube. Tons of good shit on there. And, yeah, he's also on the Chewed Up and Spit Out podcast. So, yeah.
That's fabulous. Talk about real chef life.
Real shit.
Real shit from the real world.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, thank you, everybody. It's been fun. It's been wonderful.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah. Let us know. Suggest stories for us. If you have any good stories or hear about something, even if you're just scrolling and you hear about something, you're like, I want to hear more about that, but
I
not
can't
from
find
the
a
asshole
fucking
that
story.
put it there.
Yeah. I need something more simple.
Yeah, send it to us.
Simply read. Some more modified.
Send it to us. Well, folks, good night.
Night.
Good night.